Okay, so I've just been asked a question from a member in the group on how we build up in the 7v7 game. I'm going to presume that we're in a 2-3-1 formation. Both teams are in a 2-3-1 formation. Two centre-backs, two wingers who work up and down, centre midfielder and a striker. I think what can happen when we're trying to play out from the back is that these wingers probably try and come and receive. And that makes most of the team quite deep. So we've got a back four then all of a sudden, and they're coming offering for the ball, and there's very few options forward. And if that ball does come wide, then the options are limited to play out. So what I would encourage is that these two defenders come and split, and they come and offer for the ball. The midfielder offers the point of the diamond. So what we've then got is we've got two triangles. So a triangle here with the goalkeeper and two centre-backs. And then we've got a triangle with the two centre-backs and the midfielder. And then we've got a diamond overall. So the passing angles are really strong. I'd encourage these wingers to be relatively high because that when we layer in the opposition, that makes them have a problem and gives them something to think about. And depending on what your distribution's like from the keeper, recognise they're still quite young and they might not be able to kick the ball very far. But if I was the opposition setting up against that, then the striker's probably going to be on the edge of the box. Their midfielder's probably going to come and sit there. I'd want a 2v1 against the striker, and then these players are going to come and probably deal with the wide players out here. So that leaves an overload on either side. So if we can play here, then all of a sudden we can play into the striker. If he's good receiving the ball, then we're already at the halfway line or already quite far up the pitch. You want yards at this point, right? So you want sensible yards. So ideally that player would drive into that gap, and then we're making runs around the outside. But we're just trying to get yards up the pitch at this point. That might attract the midfielder here. This might attach this player onto here. And I get the tactical point might not land at this point, but there's nothing wrong with that point. We're coming back to there, and we can recycle outside this side to come a little bit further. But that's what I do. Wingers high, defenders are splitting, and that should hopefully leave an overload with the players that you've got there. If that hasn't happened, and we've got our defenders which have split and we've got the diamond, if they've really committed, so they might have that player on there, and these players might come to really compact that in, then that does leave these players spare on the wings. I'm not sure what the distribution's like to here, but that's your other get out, is to distribute straight to there. I know you can't head the ball, but we can pop the ball into these areas, and then you're overloaded at the top end of the pitch. So hopefully that helps. If you've got any more questions, let me know.